We're talking to Rob Reiner, and his film And So It Goes is going to be in theaters on Friday, July 18th. So you're talking about having 10, 30, 40 years in the business?
Yeah, it's closer. It's actually now it's closer to 50.
So
Isn't
when
that ridiculous?
Where does time
ridiculous.
go? It is ridiculous.
Well, and you're talking about being on the set and these films and these scripts, and you're mentioning all this business stuff, but you don't get into it, I imagine, with enough knowledge to take on any one of those giant projects. How do you start? Did you go to school thinking, I'm going to tell stories, or I'm going to be a leading man and I'm going to kiss hot chicks on film?
Well, that's what I started out wanting to do, but then I became follically challenged. And,
the hairdo was your downfall.
Kind of took me out of that game. I couldn't do it. No, you just start out. I mean, I've always been interested in it. My dad, certainly, set the greatest example, and I wanted to be like him, And I used to go to the Van Dyke show when I was 13, 14, 15, 16. During the summer, I would spend every single day during my summer times off of school with watching him work. And
you had the bug early, and
yeah, no, I did. I was interested from an early age, absolutely.
So you absorbed all that.
I did. I'm a good absorber. That and then All in the Family, oddly enough, I learned a lot while I was doing that show. So, yeah, I got a lot of experience before I even started directing. I had a tremendous amount of experience.
Hey, you should tell them how difficult it was to go from television to film, especially when you went from All in the Family to making Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I really want to talk about Spinal Tap, too.
Sure. I mean, but, in those days, people who worked in television were like second-class citizens. I mean, we were like looked down upon by the movie people. They were the royalty, we were the peons. And so you couldn't make that transition. Now, if people jump back and forth from television and movies, it's not a problem. But it took me 4 years to, be thought of as a guy who could make films after doing, a character in a sitcom for so many years.
Talking about things that have become part of the American fabric, these go to 11.
Yes, and this year is the 30th anniversary.
Is it real?
Of Spinal Tap. Yeah. It's a there's a fine line between stupid and clever.
It's a fine line.
Fine line, yeah.
It's that movie was just, and it was the first thing I'd seen you do since you had been Meathead,
right?
And I just. It was such a part, like we could do any scene from it, and we all talked in those stupid English accents, for years. That was such a huge thing. Yeah. I mean, did you discover Fran Drescher, or was...
No, well, I don't know. I mean,
the first time I saw Fran Drescher.
Yeah, Fran Drescher's great in it. Bobby Fleckman. How
Bobby
are
Fleckman.
you? Bobby Fleckman. She had that voice. She's great. I mean, listen, it's become this part of the culture in the kind of a cult. It's more than a cult thing. I mean, people know about it. When it first came out, nobody knew what the heck it was. They thought, why would you make a movie about a band nobody's ever heard of, and then one that's so bad? They thought it was a real thing. They didn't know.
I thought it was a real thing when I first went to I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then the word mockumentary has also become...
we kind of made that up. I mean, it's funny because when I was doing Princess Bride, Sting, from the Police, I mean, he came in to meet with me as possibly doing a part, and he said, I've seen this movie so many times, because all these bands, they go on tour, they watch the movie, it's like a Bible to them. He says, I've seen this movie so many times, I don't know whether to laugh or cry every time I watch it.
You talked about 4 years from TV to getting to make a movie. So what is that? Is that trying to get money? Is that rewriting scripts? What is that?
Well, in this case, there's no script. I mean, Spinal Tap's completely improvised. So there was no script. It was just getting somebody to agree to do it. We had made a 20-minute demo reel of the film, and we were shopping that around, showing people, look, this is what we have, and nobody wanted to do it.
Wow.
And then finally it worked. And then that whole sort of team of people has, gone on to do,
Well, Chris Guest, I mean, to me, Chris and Harry and Michael, they're brilliant. And Chris is maybe the most brilliant satirist that ever lived. I mean, he's incredible. And we were lucky because we gave him an opportunity to do, Waiting for Guffman and Mighty Wind and Best in Show.
Right.
So it's been good.
It has been so great to meet you. Rob Reiner, the new movie, And So It Goes, Friday, July 18th. Just a delight. Thank you so much for living up to every expectation that doesn't always happen.
Thank you so much for having me.